I saw somebody walk from behind the pillar, an older man, into my kitchen. And I started yelling, "We're closed, we're closed." And I walked back to the kitchen and nobody was there.
Chasing Ghosts on Scooters in Bars, the podcast that blends the modern scooter lifestyle with a twist of the paranormal over a cool cocktail. So I'm sitting with Bobby Chong and Shelley, or Mark Shelbert, for episode 7 of Chasing Ghosts on Scooters in Bars.
Here already.
In fact, this is unique because we are doing our introduction before we do our ride.
Yeah, kind of a prelude, if you will.
And I'm a little concerned because we're planning our ride for next Friday, and you say there's a golf game, or what's going on?
Well, I've already committed to something else, but the Lizard is the one that really needs to go on this ride. He's been omitted from the day rides prior.
Well, he hasn't been omitted. He just has been.
Well, he hasn't been on, but we've been on one before.
He's probably been golfing.
Or laying down sideways.
Right. But Bobby Chong's in.
Yeah. I'm in, yes.
And you're in Longboard Studio right now.
I am.
And well, here we are. There's some additions here.
You know what? I noticed the upgrade, and where'd these come from?
I recently had a benchmark birthday. We're not going to talk about which one, but it was a big one.
Sounds like a double 30.
And some friends of mine and got me some great gifts. One of them is a Vespa neon sign. I'll put a picture up on our Facebook page, Chasing Ghosts Pod, or at Chasing Ghosts Pod. And the other is a beautiful, it looks like it's a wood sign with Chasing Ghosts on Scooters in Bars logo embossed right on it. It's going to go up on the wall here. It's beautiful.
Oh, they both look great.
I also got a montage of photos from you.
Well, I was just trying to put a little something special for you.
Yeah, the center photo is me face down on the asphalt.
That's how we remember you best.
So a quick review of just who we are. We're avid scooter riders, and we enjoy a cool cocktail. Yeah, the paranormal stuff is sort of a throw-in. And we're all from Washington State, and we do these rides. There's usually 7 of us on our multi-day rides. That's the average count. There's been more.
Right. That's the once-a-year ride.
That's once a year, and that's our season. So we're finishing up season 1 that started last year. And then our day rides that we've done are usually 3 or 4 of us, and we're in search of classic pubs, dive bars. I want to be clear about that.
You should be.
I love a dive bar, and I mean that in a loving way. So if we go to your bar where you work or you own and we hashtag dive bars, doesn't mean that we feel it's a horrible place. It's a loving, great place.
Well, I think it's mostly just so you can widen your reach and get into more bars.
And then I'll go into any bar. And we love haunted taverns, restaurants, or even we've been in hotels. Recently, there was a listener that wrote in and he said, "What's the connection between scooters and ghosts?" I think he got the scooters and bars part. But
I think it makes it normal because that's where I'm at too.
I tried to explain, but like you, I think he's a non-believer. I'm not sure I connected the dots for him. But if you keep listening to us, you will figure it out. The group of us are either very old friends or we're related. We're brothers. And we know each other's complexities and issues on our rides. We've ridden thousands of miles together on our Vespas. In fact, we usually don't go more than 30 or 40 minutes between rest stops.
Well, you can't. That's a lot of ass time.
Well,
start cramping up.
It really is. And frankly, those rest stops, I remember almost every one of them. There's been hundreds of them, and most of them have been outstanding, great places to stop and think. That's where the stories came from. Some of the ones we've picked up along the way that inspired this. And I think, though, for the most part, our group is pretty accepting of my unique and personal interest in the other side.
Well, we tolerate it, but Bobby, you know him better. How do you do it? You've done it for so many years.
Been ignoring him my whole life.
That's the trick.
Well, I think what you do is you put up with it as long as there's another great bar in your future.
Well, that certainly is a good motivator.
And you chuckle at my stuff, my EMF meters, my spirit boxes, my digital recorders. But to be fair, we're mostly in search of ghost stories, not ghost hunting.
Well, anytime you order a new gadget, you It's like Christmas all over again. For
Well, yeah, but I don't use it. I just kind of play with it and look at it. But I do want to do a ghost hunt soon, and I think that we need to get our sleeping bags and our packs and be ready to do that. It's going to be like paranormal lockdown.
I love it.
Thank you, Bob.
It'll be very interesting to see.
Now, can your heart handle it at your advanced age?
So it's scooters, ghosts, and bars. That's it. Google it. You can Bing it. And we are all that shows up when you combine those phrases together. And I'm not kidding. And it's all organic and not paid search words or anything like that. We fill a whole page with all kinds of crazy nonsense.
That's beyond my level. I don't know what any of that is.
I like the fact that you are just silent after you said that.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
I don't either.
Finally,
You're talking to the tech world.
okay, on to another subject. If you're going to be in Seattle in July for the AmeriVespa rally, I think that's early July, we're going to stop by. They're going to have a meet and greet on Thursday night of the rally at the stables in Georgetown, and we're going to be on our ride, but we're going to stop in there and see if we can meet some of the people that might have been listening to us.
He should fit into a small pile.
We want to meet both of you. We'll be heading out on our vintage ride for the following 4 days after that. That's all planned out, but I'm really looking forward to meeting the group from Vespa Club of America and others.
How will they be able to find us?
Well, I bought you a white T-shirt that has your name on it, so make sure you bring that. It'll have your name on the front. It'll say Chasing Ghosts on Scooters in the back. It'll have our unique logo, which is a Vespa, inside of a microphone holder. And
well, you didn't just buy it. You crafted it.
He did.
That's right.
Thankfully, he didn't put parking in the rear on there.
So thank you, Vespa Club of America, for doing the AmeriVespa rally, and we're really looking forward to seeing you all there. And thank you for finding our podcast. We're on iTunes, Google Play Music, Stitcher, and just waiting for our final approval on Spotify and iHeartMusic Radio. All of our podcasts are also on our website, which is chasingghosts.net, along with our pictures, bios, and stories. So, speaking of stories, please tell your scooter and bar friends about us. We need your support.
Hey, Mark, what about reviews?
Well, first of all, we appreciate the reviews that we've received, and frankly, the feedback has been surprisingly good. We don't deserve it, but the critical stuff, it helps us get better and build a stronger ghost bar or scooter story to your headphones, your car, or even your Bluetooth speaker.
Yeah, but let me ask you something quick.
Yeah.
You showed me the other day we've got more than 1,300 downloads. Are you looping downloads?
So, first of all, that's 1,300 a day.
Oh.
Some of the great reviews are this one. I'm just going to give you the headline because it was so cool. It said, if the Scooby-Doo mystery machine was a Vespa. I think that's great. And he says, I'm really into scooters. Cocktails are a favorite pastime. And who doesn't love a good ghost story? You know, I should have sent this to the guy that said, what's the connection?
Yeah. I think this guy gets it.
And this one that says, not what it seems, but gave us 5 stars. And
what was he looking for?
Well,
5 guys on scooters.
He mentions that we'll take their soul, and you've been warned, however, that if you listen with an aluminum foil hat, you'll thwart the spirits. Once protected, I find this quite enjoyable, nice rhythm, infectious melody. I give it a 98 out of 100.
Wow.
Which reminds me, if you work in a haunted bar, tavern, or a restaurant, or you're a scooter rider with a story, please share it. Just go to chasingghosts.net and submit it, or go to our Facebook page, Chasing Ghosts on Scooters and Bars, or at Chasing Ghosts Pod, or any other way. Just you'll find us. I already told you, if you Google Scooters, Ghosts, and Bars, we're the only thing that comes up. And if you live in the Washington State area, we may even come to you armed with a microphone, a credit card, paranormal gear, and our hogs. Well, scooters.
Yeah. It's quite a rumble anyway.
Speaking of the Washington area, this is one of the first times, as I mentioned, that we're recording our opening gambit before heading out on the featured haunted locations. I guess we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, well, you know what? We're willing to try new things.
Hey, it's kind of like Star Wars, you know? You go backwards.
You might end up backwards.
It's a prequel. So this week, we're going to be rolling into the Landmark in Tenino. Joe's Place in Bucoda, and the Olympic Club in Centralia, Washington. And all of these places are on a classic motorcycle and scooter route through mid-central Pierce and Thurston counties along Route 7, right, Bob? Isn't it?
No, it's 7 goes to Mount Rainier.
Oh, so what's that? What's the road
it's
that
like
we
the
take?
508, I think, something like that.
It's a nice ride.
It's a
whatever it is.
nice-
Okay, well, just think of it as west of Mount Rainier and east of the freeway.
Oh, there you go.
There you
Directions
go.
again.
On the other side of Fort Lewis.
That's right. And you can almost visualize these charming small towns along a winding 2-lane highway or a byway, and a mixture of pasture land, farmhouses, trailer courts, too many coffee stands, plenty of Mexican restaurants, and some really old taverns. I mean, it's almost irresistible.
Well, you got that one right.
And the rail line.
Here's a little bit about each of the bars we'll be visiting, and special thanks to Pete Andrzejewski at seattlebars.org for some great info on his blog. He didn't know I stole it, but here it is. The Landmark Tavern in Tenino. So we've been there several times, and on our Facebook page, if you've seen the guy playing the little harmonica, that's straight from the Landmark.
Or the hills.
The locals say it's haunted, but I can't find anything online that says it will. But every time we go there, they say absolutely, this place is nuts, and it's been
Well, it's
there.
the living people that might be more interesting.
Yes, it's only been called the Landmark since 1995, but it's hosted a bar there since 1909 and probably 1908. 1908, the year it was built by the Columbia Brewery of Tacoma. It was known as Lee's Place, the Quarry Bar, and then Anderson's Tavern for many years. It's said to have been a pool hall and soda fountain during Prohibition, but we suspect they probably poured a drink or two.
Wink, wink.
Certainly, according to Pete Andrzejewski, it's supported a local sandstone quarry that was there. And if that you remember, that building's got that beautiful rock. There's been 12 bars before Prohibition and in that area that supported the guys that were working the quarry. So
There's definitely fine stonework outside.
one of the photos on our website with us along the rock is from that particular place with all our scooters lined up.
Right, yeah. I think it made the montage, too.
It's also been known as Lil's Tavern besides Anderson's, and this is all from research done by Pete. He also quotes Joy Orth from the Tenino Independent and City Councilman Wayne Frenier, who's a great-great-nephew of Lee Waddell, who I think was mentioned earlier as one of the owners. If not, sorry. Then we go off, and it's not far, to Joe's Place.
Oh, Joe's Place.
We've been there a few times in Bucoda, which is a little railroad town. And what's great about this is it's been owned and operated by the same family since 1898.
That's impressive.
They've had Olympia beer on tap since 1903.
Wow.
What do you say to that?
That's a big keg.
It's the first it's the first place in the country to have Oly beer on tap. And they say they have the best burgers and hand-cut curly fries in the world. But more importantly, it's the home of the Mean Gene story.
What is that story?
Yeah.
So we were on one of our pub scoots years ago, and we swung in there we probably had 9 guys on that ride.
That was our big one, yeah.
Yeah, we swung in there, we parked, got some photos up front.
It was our third stop of the day, of the morning. It was still morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We rolled in there, and we go back through the swinging doors inside, so it's kind of a cafe out front, swinging doors into the back. We belly up to the bar where Jean, our bartender, was working. They called her Mean Jean.
Right.
And she was a spry 80-year-old or so.
Oh, well, I'm not sure.
I think she was about 60, about Mark's age. But she'd been in the weather a little.
So we were all ordering, and each person ordered, I think, almost to the person, either a Pabst Blue Ribbon or a Coors Light.
It was beer, whatever. Yeah.
And then Lizard walks up to the bar, and he orders a Diet Coke.
Diet Coke, please.
And she stopped mid-track. And remember what she said, Mark?
Fucking pussy.
She called him a fucking pussy.
She called him out very quick. I mean, he could barely sit down before that was uttered.
And at that point, he decided to go with the Coors Light.
He succumbed quickly.
He said, "Oh, now I get what this is all about." So
the Lizard has never been the same since.
Joe's Place is, like we said, has been owned by the same family since 1898. It did burn down, and then they rebuilt it to look almost the same in the front. I like the idea that they say the original walnut back bar was consumed in yet another fire in the 50s, but the matching original front of Joe's was perhaps a working bar through Prohibition. taking advantage of the trap door in the floor behind the bar, which also was used in lieu of refrigeration. So there are things about this place that really go back a long time.
And it's a small little town, so don't blink.
Joe died working behind the bar in 1937.
Do you have any stories about that bar?
Well, this is one that I don't, but we are going to get some stories when we do our ride. Remember, we're doing this in advance, and you think that's very funny to talk about, but that's the way it goes. Their great-granddaughter, Ruth Wall, is now one of the relatives who's taken sole ownership of the bar. So as we leave Joe's place, we head down toward Centralia, which is a real nice ride through the Skookumchuck Valley where the river goes, and the big coal mine. What is that?
Steam plant,
Steam plant, yeah. We go by there and then come in the back way to Centralia and park in front of the Olympic Club, which is a staple of all our rides and certainly carries all the elements of a classic pub, haunted bar, and even a little touch of dive tavern in there. Paranormal Historical Society, called PIHA, or Paranormal Investigations of Historical America.
Are you making this up?
No, did a big session there. Here's just a boil down of what they said. Candles mysteriously lit, rearranged chairs in the basement, falling axe, music drowned out by mysterious tune, a man's laughter has been heard echoing throughout the building, a ghost named Elmer has been seen standing by the cast iron stove, which is right there as you go into the pool room, and it's thought that this ghost could be Louis Galba, who had rented a room at the hotel formerly on this site, which was called, I think, the Oxford Hotel.
He sounds Bulgarian.
The hotel burned in 1908, and Lewis jumped to the ground from his second-story room, and he died a few months later of his injuries. So there is a room, I believe, upstairs as well that's been known to be haunted.
You know, you or Bobby have never taken anybody upstairs.
That's
to
true.
The haunted room. It's always just been the bar. You guys are holding out on us?
That's true. Well, I can't really answer that right now on this broadcast.
Yes. Of course, we've never been upstairs. So it was originally named the Oxford Hotel and owned by the king of bootleggers, Jack Sculuto.
Prosciutto.
Yeah.
Is he a meat?
Sciutto.
Sculuto.
It's Sciutto. And over the years, lured many a logger, miner, and rail worker to its billiard room, liquor, and welcoming working women in the rooms upstairs.
They were loggers too, huh?
So there you go. From here, we're going to be getting on our scooters and heading down to these bars and sharing the stories that we find. With that, guys, this is a wrap.
Let's hear some stories.
So here, going on the new way of doing things, Mark, we just got back from our ride.
And what a beautiful ride it was. Sunny day, warm out.
Is one of the very first sunny days that was scheduled to be that way, and we all played hooky again from work on a Monday, and took off for a big ride. There was the Lizard, you, me, and Bobby Chong.
Almost a full crew.
Yeah, Keith we invited up from California, and he declined. Something to do
He's not quite committed.
Something to do with the drive and his job. Greg, hasn't borrowed his scooter yet for the season.
Right, he's usually a once a year guy.
And so we went on that, and I think we'll just talk geographically. We started in Tacoma, but we went down the backside of JBLM, the great big Fort Lewis base.
It's not the first time you've gone down the backside.
And we ended up stopping. Our first stop was at the Roy Tavern, the Roy Pub and Eatery.
Yeah.
It's a very, very old building, but not haunted. I did post a picture on our Facebook page, Chasing Ghosts on Scooters in Bars, or at Chasing Ghost Pod.
Right, but I think we did okay. We found plenty of ghost stories.
We did. We had actually identified, as we said earlier, the landmark in Tenino, Joe's Place maybe, and the Olympic Club. Mm-hmm. But we did stop in McKenna at Walt's Place, which has the diving girl and statues outside.
Right, always a great place.
And a lot of bikers love to stop there. New owners in the last 3 years.
And they're going to revamp the bike parking lot.
That's right. That's what she said. That's pretty. And the bathrooms.
Oh,
beautiful.
Tell me about the bathrooms.
I mean, this building was 1895, and the bathrooms are 2013.
Yeah. No, it was a nice upgrade.
Very nice. In fact, it used to be you could barely go in there. Now you want to spend your whole day.
Certainly caught Bob's eye. He called us back in to take a look at it.
I should have taken a picture. Those bathrooms are so nice. So we were, surprisingly, we got a story. That place is haunted. And then off to the landmark where we met Jessica. She had a great story for us. Had a little equipment failure.
Potentially, or it could be a spirit.
Could be.
But she did find a resolution or a solution to haunts if you're worried about it. If you're trying to get rid of the paranormal.
Right. How she dropped an attachment. And then Joe's place in Bucoda. That's been the family owned since 1898.
And you ran into one of the manager.
Yeah, Chris. Yeah. And we helped her unload her truck, all her supplies on a Monday. And in exchange, she agreed to sit down with us. And I have a photo of that as well with our sticker on their very old reach-in cooler. So they've got Chasing Ghost sticker right there, dead eye level.
Mark left a mark.
I did. She told us the story of what happens at Joe's place and then down to the very famous McMenamin's Olympic Club in Centralia, right across from the beautiful rail station they have down there, which is also a throwback to the late 1800s, early 1900s. That's a hotel. It's a movie theater. It's two different bars. It's a whole complex.
A couple pool tables. And talk about the bathroom there. How about those urinals?
They're huge. I mean, you can walk into them.
Yeah, almost sink in there.
What I like is when you wash your hands, the water flows from the sink down a little tube and into the urinal. But they are cool. And it's one of my favorite things about the Olympic Club, besides the beautiful bar and the pool tables and the haunted cast iron stove. But we got a great story from Chrissy there. So I think what we need to do is just dig right into it. And let's hear what Susie, one of the owners of Waltz, has to say about what she's experienced there in McKenna, Washington, next to Stewart's Meats, where you can get some great beef jerky and cuts.
Yes, let's do it.
I'm sitting with Susie, one of the owners of Waltz Place here in McKenna. Can you tell us a little bit about the history of this bar?
Well, it was in the family of the man we bought it from for 50 years, and we bought it in 2013. It was built in 1895 and has gone through about 3 floods that I'm aware of.
Well, you're right here by a river, right?
Yes, there's a sign on the wall where the water was. It's about this high.
Wow.
Came through. The last one was 96.
And so you bought it from the people that originally started this bar?
Well, this was built in 1895, and it was a store. This back part was a store. The front part was a bar, but it was originally built as a store for the millers across the street.
Wow.
This was a mill town, and the care center across the street was a boarding house. And so this was the store.
Wow. And then it just evolved into a bar.
Yeah, it's been a bar as long as I've ever known.
We've been riding scooters by here and having a beer here off and on for years. And I was very excited to hear today that you have some experiences, things that happen here on your cameras, and even some of your bartenders who have mentioned that stuff that's happened. Can you tell us a little bit about what you've seen?
Well, a couple nights when I was on the cameras, I saw a figure of somebody walk by one of the cameras after we were closed, but then I never saw him hit the other part of the camera. They just was the one when it should have picked up on the other one.
Wow.
So twice that's happened.
Recently or just
That was, I think about a year ago was the last time I seen.
And then you said your bartenders have seen stuff.
They hear things and they swear things are moved every now and then.
So do you know what they've heard?
Just like when they're at night, when they're doing their stuff, they hear, somebody walking or moving something around.
And also upstairs, right?
Well, no, I just tell the folks that.
You just tell me.
I tell them that to keep them out of there.
Do you have any idea? Has anybody ever speculated what the ghost or that figure might be, or who?
I've asked, and as far as I know, no one's been murdered, and but it only goes back to when Spark's parents bought it, and that was, I think, around in the 60s or something.
So, and it's been going since 1898, so anything could happen.
Yeah.
Well, very cool bar. We always enjoy it when we're here, and thank you, Susie, for taking a few minutes. So I liked Susie a lot. She's a motorcyclist.
That's right.
She has a scooter, an old aging Honda scooter, but also I think a Harley in the garage.
Yeah, she's a Harley rider.
And she had peanuts out for us. We were the first people there. She doesn't own a cell phone, and she said it was the very best job she's ever had.
That's right.
Owning that tavern.
And we made quite a mess with those peanuts.
We did. And once we were done with those, we hopped back on our hogs, and we headed south through Yelm down into Tenino, Washington.
And that's where the ride really opens up into the country.
It does. As we mentioned, it's a mixture of double wides and some colonials along with...
And some pastures.
Yes, a lot of pastures. We rode into Tenino and parked right at the landmark.
Ready for another break.
And if you look at the header of our website or our Facebook page, it is the landmark wall. It's sandstone. It was a quarry town. Had a big mine, and it was very, very busy for a long, long time. And now I think they just survive on motorcycles coming through town. So we got into the landmark, started talking to Jessica behind the bar, ordered a couple of corn dogs and a couple of hot dogs and cut those up and had a little bit to eat.
It was a great corn dog.
Cold beer, and she told us about a particular attachment that she had, how she got rid of it, as well as what's happened to her at the landmark. So let's listen to that now. How long has this place been here?
Since 1906.
Wow. And you haven't worked here that long?
No.
You've had some experiences yourself in the paranormal world. What happened?
I had some sort of spirit entity, I'm not sure, a little girl, maybe an older woman, it was female, and she viciously shook me awake one night, left bruises on my arm, and followed me to 3 different apartments I lived in. And at my very last apartment, my roommate actually saw her. It was a little girl in a pink tutu dress in our house, and yeah.
How did you have her not quit following you?
My grandma is a very religious woman, Christian woman, and I talked to her about this, and she said, pull your Bible out, keep it on your nightstand, and it'll never happen again. I did it, and she hasn't been back.
So no trouble since?
No, nothing.
But there's a little bit of something going on at the landmark, isn't there?
There has been, yeah, exciting stuff.
Yeah, so it's been known to be a haunted place. I've been told that over the years, but you've had actual experiences here. What can you tell us about one?
I've actually seen somebody in here very late at night, like a Friday or Saturday, closing up, 2 in the morning, follow everybody out, and I lock both the doors, and I check the bathrooms to make sure everybody's gone, and I was counting my money behind the bar, and there's kind of a pillar in the middle of the bar, and I saw somebody walk from behind the pillar, an older man, into my kitchen, and I started yelling, we're closed, and I walked back to the kitchen, and nobody was there. There was nobody in the kitchen.
And have you heard of other people with stories here? Or things
I've heard a lot of people talk about people, noises, things they've seen and experienced here in the bar, but that's been my only experience.
And you said that next door at the VFW hall, they have multiple
they have
stories.
like 4 or 5 people that all these different bartenders over years have seen. The same people.
And that's part of this building.
Yep, it's all attached, one big building.
This all made from, it was a sandstone quarry, right? And they built these beautiful buildings downtown here, Tenino, Washington.
Yeah.
And we're talking to Jessica at the landmark with great stories. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
What I really liked about the landmark was they had a trap door behind the bar that goes down into the basement area with a ladder, and they offered to let us take our ghost hunting gear and go down there some other time.
Right. The timing was horrible.
Well, there was an inspector there that was looking at their kitchen. Yeah, it looked like they were doing fine, but probably not a good time for me to go down into the cold and
not behind the bar. Relive the Prohibition years.
One of the patrons sitting at the bar said there is definitely a spirit down in that hole.
There's 2 of them that mentioned the ghosts down there.
Yeah, but that isn't what Jessica experienced. She actually saw that figure going into the kitchen, which was really cool. The landmark was great.
Absolutely, and we now have another reason to go back.
a 20th time, yeah. So then it was on to Joe's Place, owned by the same family since 1898. We helped unload everything, remember, in there, as we mentioned. And
yeah, she made a huge run.
We got to talk to Chris about Joe's Place. Hi, I'm with Chris at Joe's Place, which is a staple of Bucoda and has been owned by the same family since 1898. Who are they?
They are Bob and Rich and Lily Wall, and the bar has been in their family for almost 119 years.
Wow.
And Bob is 91, almost 92, and he's here every morning for coffee, a little after 8 o'clock. And
What time do you open?
at 8.
Wow.
At 8 o'clock, yeah. And
So you
That's-
feed
that's
the
it.
town of Bucoda.
and everybody on the outskirts and beyond.
So breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yep.
You have steak night. You have
Yep.
burger night.
Yeah.
You have. Is there a fish night?
No, we have clam chowder on Fridays.
Nice.
Homemade. I make it every Friday.
So, in this building is the third reincarnation, I believe, is it not? You have the original building. There was a fire at some point, and then
Yeah, the original building was wood, built in 1898, and I think the fire was 1919, 1920. I can't remember for sure. And then everything on Main Street was required to be built in brick.
So after that, it's been here.
It's been here, yeah.
And then the town of Bucoda, as you and I talked about, is named after three people, but before that it was called Siatko,
Siatko.
and
Yes.
that is also a native term for ghost place,
Yes.
which is one of the reasons we're here. The name of our podcast is Chasing Ghosts on Scooters in Bars. So this just seemed like a likely stop.
Perfect.
But we've been coming here for years, and I'm glad I finally connected with you. And can you tell us, do you think this bar is haunted?
Yes, I do believe it is haunted.
What have you experienced? What's happened?
Strange little things, and it's always after all the customers are gone. And us bartenders, sometimes one or two of us might be here, and all of a sudden pots and pans will fly off a shelf.
Wow.
And when we know that those particular pots and pans are very secure, that they'll just fall out and crash and scare, and we'll jump and scream. Here just a few weeks ago, a candle, literally that candle on that little red table, the red candle fell off. It was not on the edge of the table. It fell off.
Wow.
But that was daytime. That was actually during the daytime. But at night, yeah, we hear bumps and like steps. And I had one bartender swear that she heard somebody whistling at one time. And I think that could have been one of the former family members that only passed away just 3 years ago because she whistled. But yeah, there's definitely something going on around here.
Well, this place is a magnet for the town. I mean,
Yes.
and so it seems clear that people would be drawn here, especially if they worked here. But you also mentioned that maybe the namesake, Joe, might be around?
Yeah, I think so. He died in 1937, right behind the bar there.
Wow.
And the story I got was that there was some kind of a ruckus going on this side of the bar. And he went to swing his hand and hit the bar like that to say, hey, knock it off. And he had a heart attack. And there was a couch behind the bar at the time, and someone helped him to the couch, and he literally died right there, right behind the bar.
So Joe's Place really is Joe's Place.
Yes.
And you manage it, and we saw all, you had such a busy weekend, you ran out of some stuff, you were
Yes.
hauling it in.
Yes.
And we really enjoyed our time here, and always have. Great little bar, a fun find for people when they're driving down the road, as well as obviously the people living here. So thank you, Chris, for spending a few minutes with us
Well, you're
at
very welcome.
Joe's Place in Bucoda.
Well, it was great seeing Joe again. Well, the ghost of Joe, anyway.
Well, he likes to throw things around. And I was also glad to see Lonnie survive his visit at Joe's Place, where he had met Mean Gene
That's right. Well, it
years
was
ago.
6 years before is the last time he's been in, and he looked a little timid walking in.
But walked out with a big smile,
Yes.
knowing Mean Gene had retired.
That's right. He felt safe again and didn't have to worry about the verbal abuse.
We did hear some great stories about Mean Gene, though.
Yeah, she's not just mean to Lonnie.
But a heart of gold, I'm told.
Yes.
So, and they also gave us a new route to get down to Centralia.
It was a nice little surprise.
Yeah, we headed east from Bucoda instead of straight south like we normally do, up into the hills.
Beautiful shot of Mount Rainier coming over the crest of the hill.
and wound around down to the coal steam plant near Centralia and then hooked back up to the road we normally would have taken. Yes, it's a really popular route that we did not know about.
But we're in on it now.
I don't think we passed a single car, though, winding around through the hills.
No, but there were a few bugs up there.
Yeah, we had to clean our helmets and our windscreens.
Clean our grill.
So we rolled into Centralia, and 20 to 25 minutes later, parked our scooters right in front of the Olympic Club.
Like we belong there.
Yes, walked in like we owned it. I had actually talked to their marketing department and said that we'd be coming in there to talk to them. So the coast was clear. Nobody was there to talk to us. It was perfect. And we ended up actually talking to Chrissy, who's worked there for 10 and a half years. She's worked upstairs in the hotel. She's worked in the movie theater. She's a lead bartender there now.
And like many bars that we go to, you and Bob knew her and she knew you too.
Well, we used to go down there when years ago when my mom was living in Centralia and go visit her every Sunday.
I just wonder whether the reason you went down to Centralia was because of your mother or because of the Olympic Club.
It was a 10-minute visit with my mother and another 2 hours at the Olympic Club before
recovery.
we had our way home. So Chrissy had some great stories, and if you go online about the Olympic Club owned by McMenamins, it is. I don't even want to say it's restored. They just reopened it and kept everything original. I mean, it's clean, it's nice, but it is original stuff from the late 1800s in there. And if you're ever in that part of the world, man, go there because it's cool. In fact, all these bars are. Yeah. But Chrissy filled us in on a little pinch and grab that happened to her, and we'll hear that now. So I'm with Chrissy, who is a friend of mine and also works at the Olympic Club, and you've been serving me for years when I was taking care of my mom down here.
Right.
Well, my sister was, but I came down and had breakfast a lot. And how long have you worked here?
10 and a half years.
And so you've worked in all parts of this place. We're at the Olympic Club in Centralia. It's a hotel, a movie theater, a bar, 2 bars, right?
Right.
And it's a very, very cool historic place. Do you know the history at all?
It was a men's club. Women actually weren't allowed in the building until almost 1970.
Wow.
And it's been a great place for pool, poker. You know, during Prohibition, there was all kinds of bootlegging and pretty interesting stuff, train robberies, criminals.
Yeah. Well, this was a railroad town.
Yes.
And timber and even farming. So it's also known, because of all this history, to have a ghost or a spirit or two. And you've had some experiences yourself.
Yes.
So why don't you tell us about one of them?
One morning when I got here, we get here at 6 o'clock in the morning to open and set up and clean and everything. And I was working with a manager, and we tend to, butt heads a little bit. And one morning, I went up into our mezzanine area to turn on the lights, and it's pretty dark in here and pretty quiet. And I had my back turned to the stairway, and it all of a sudden felt like somebody grabbed a hold of my arm. And I turned around, and there was nobody there. So it kind of makes the hair stand up on the back of your neck and just gives you that eerie feeling like somebody's there.
They grabbed your elbow, or?
Yes.
And a real definite grab.
Oh yeah, for sure. You could tell that somebody, had grabbed it. And I ended up turning the lights on, and I hurried down the stairs and went and talked to my manager because I thought she was maybe messing with me, and told her what happened. And she was like, "Oh my goodness, I thought you had grabbed my arm." So at roughly the same time, we both felt this presence grab a hold of us, and it just was really unexplainable. Between the two of us, we were speechless.
Yeah, that's a great story.
Yeah.
But there's other things that have happened, obviously, to other servers, bartenders.
Oh, yeah.
And you even used to have to clean with all the doors.
Oh, up in the hotel, there's a lot of activity up in the hotel. And mostly with room number 13, the door will all of a sudden pop open after it's definitely been shut and double checked. And that's pretty unexplainable.
And you felt people watching you.
Oh, yeah. It's just kind of you can feel a presence.
Well, there are stories about this place online, elsewhere. In fact, the McMenamin guys hired a paranormal group to come in here and study this place at one point. Oh. And their reports are online, and it's pretty interesting. And they mentioned the same rooms you did. And they even got EVPs, which are voices that they recorded
Really?
up there. Yeah. So it's haunted. And you work here.
Yes.
And you're talking about getting a scooter.
Yes, I am really excited about the scooter.
You want a vintage scooter.
I do want a vintage scooter. I feel like that's the only way to go if you're gonna, join a scooter gang or create your own scooter gang.
Right.
You gotta be legit.
I'm all with you on that one. So, Chrissy, thank you. And great job.
Oh,
And
thank you.
We'll talk again. All right. Well, wow. There you go, Mark. We managed to get 4 ghost stories in 4 different bars, even though we went to 6 or 7. And it was a great hot ride all the way through. That was just Monday, and now it's Thursday. You're off tomorrow. It's
tough life.
Memorial Day weekend. You're off Monday as well. So
Yes.
4-day week. Good for you.
It's a strong union.
I'm going to ride my scooter to work tomorrow.
Good for you.
And I want to remind you that on June 19th, it's Ride to Work Day, sponsored by the whole scooter world.
Is that a national?
I'm going to say it is. Everybody needs to ride their scooter on June 19th to work, rain or shine.
Okay. 420 has a day. Why can't 619?
So anyway, I'm going to be doing it. You're going to be doing it. And I think everybody needs to ride their scooters. Mine's running pretty good, too. And with that, we're going to sign off from our episode 7.
You know what, though? Before we do, why don't we give a little shout out to some of the people who have helped us get where we are? The Travis Oldies.
The Sevies.
The Sevies of the world, yeah.
I wish I could say her last name. It's German, I think.
Just a little bit in your throat, that'll be fine.
She wrote a really nice review.
Oh.
And it was at the very beginning, and she's been listening ever since. She likes to listen to us while she's cleaning house.
Oh, well, I'd love to meet both these people someday.
There's a lot of other listeners, too. Send us a note, and you'll get a shout-out. And with that, a little music from Weeknites, and keep the rubber side down.
Reach out the arms of your own, motion like you reeled me in. It's a tough slide back to the feeling
This podcast and all original music by Weeknites and Mount St. Helgens is copyrighted by chasing ghosts on scooters in bars.
Put a ribbon on it.